Somebody stole my car radio, and now I just sit in silence. What is going on, guys? Fade Knife Gaming here, and I am going to watch 10 amazing movie twists you have never seen. Let's get started.
Not every movie needs a twist ending to drive its point home. Some don't even try to stun audiences before they leave the theater. But just because a movie lacks a jaw-dropping twist, it doesn't mean that was never the plan. You'd be surprised to learn just how many movies could have turned out completely differently if their original twists made it to the finished film. Here are Screen Rant's 10 amazing movie twists you've never seen. The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. The hours of extra footage released in the Lord of the Rings extended editions show plenty of key scenes that had to be cut before release. But one scene in the final movie seems too incredible to have been left out. When Aragorn and his army assemble outside the Black Gate for one last battle, the original version of the scene saw Sauron himself take physical form and fight the new king. It was an amazing twist, and in the end, probably a bit too amazing, since it made Frodo and Sam's ring drama seem like a side story. Sauron was replaced by a massive troll instead. The Avengers Age of Ultron. The second team-up of Marvel's biggest stars ended on a bittersweet note, with speedster Quicksilver dead and a batch of new heroes set to become the new Avengers. But the hero's death wasn't always a sure thing. Director Joss Whedon admitted that the final scene was filmed with Quicksilver included, in a new costume to boot.
You didn't see that coming?
To add insult to injury, Marvel taking longer than expected to get a new Spider-Man and Captain Marvel film off the ground meant Whedon couldn't include them in the closing scene as he'd planned. Spider-Man would have had fans cheering for sure, but Whedon thought it would just be funny to include Captain Marvel without any explanation. In the end, the bombshell and the joke were nowhere to be found. World War Z. Seeing Brad Pitt battle zombies in a blockbuster movie seemed like a dream come true, but his character Jerry's story didn't originally end so happily. Instead of a third act that saw Jerry discover how to solve the zombie crisis and return safely back to his family, the original ending told a completely different story. Jerry's plane would have landed in Moscow, where he was forced to join a zombie death squad for months, eventually taking part in a massive battle in Red Square. And why did Lost star Matthew Fox play such a tiny role? He had claimed Jerry's family as his own, driving the lost father and husband to cross an ocean back to America, storming the beach in a storm of zombie carnage. Then the credits rolled, setting up an even more intense sequel. Oh well, happy endings are fun too, I guess. Alien. With Ridley Scott's alien horror, Hollywood didn't just get one of its most successful movie monsters, but one of its greatest sci-fi icons and a badass woman for the ages. But it wasn't always going to play out that way. The original script ended with more horror than victory, with Ripley being ambushed by the xenomorph, biting her head clean off before sending a message to Earth using her voice. It's definitely a creepy ending and a shocking twist, but considering the franchise that developed around Ripley, not using it was probably the way to go. Rocky Balboa. Sylvester Stallone blurred the line between fiction and reality with the 2006 return to the role of Rocky, playing an old champion whose best days are behind him, but who refuses to be forgotten. The movie sent a good message though, since Rocky proved that youth isn't everything. He loses to a younger, faster boxer, but doesn't really care since he put up a good fight. If that sounds cheesy to you, the original ending had Rocky win the fight, and remain as potent a fighter at an old age as he was in his prime. In the end, they decided to keep it at least somewhat believable, and a lot like the original Rocky. 7. Sometimes it's the idea of a studio not going with a twist ending that seems insane in hindsight. In the case of the dark serial killer thriller 7, director David Fincher and star Brad Pitt were set on keeping the movie's what's in the box ending no matter how hard the studio pushed. The serial killer John Doe pushing Pitt's character to kill him meant the villain won, with an innocent woman killed in the process. The studio tried to come up with a different ending, from having the plan foiled to there only being a dog's head in the box. But the strangest idea was having Morgan Freeman's soon-to-be retiring cop gun down the killer instead, sacrificing his own freedom just to keep evil from winning the day. Fincher stuck to his guns, and the darkest and most disturbing ending possible guaranteed the movie's place in history. Terminator Salvation. It's no secret that more Terminator sequels have been disappointing than cult classics, but the original movie version of Terminator Salvation at least wanted to try something interesting. In the finished movie, John Connor's heart was injured in a battle with a T-800, so a Terminator human hybrid named Marcus sacrificed his own to keep the Resistance leader alive. but the original ending had Connor die. His inner circle decided to attach his face to Marcus, letting the Terminator lead humanity to victory in disguise. If that wasn't dark enough, the director claimed that his ending would have seen the operation succeed, before Marcus murdered everybody. So, Salvation could have been a lot worse. Superman 2. When Man of Steel ended with the controversial death of General Zod, some fans claimed that showing Superman commit murder was heresy. Their opponents pointed to Superman 2, the movie where Superman stripped Zod and his partners of their powers, then beat them to a pulp and watched them fall to their deaths. It's a fair defense of Zack Snyder's reboot, but the original cut of the movie showed the Kryptonians didn't die after all. Instead, they were arrested by, wait for it, Arctic Police. No, seriously. The group wound up serving hard time for their crimes, which meant the Man of Steel debate will probably never end.
Blast off!
Arctic Police.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. The second film in the rebooted Planet of the Apes series took audiences by storm, with most of the credit given to the cast underneath the CG makeup of the apes. But the original ending of the movie set the stage for an even bigger thriller. When the human forces are dealt with, the apes' leader Caesar learns that reinforcements are already on the way. The final shot shows Caesar's eyes preparing for the war ahead, but the movie was originally planned to show the Navy arriving and the apes squaring off on the Golden Gate Bridge. It achieved the same goal, but the director thought it only tied his hands for any sequel. Hancock. Will Smith's turn as a superpowered super slacker was a strange mix of action, comedy, superhero origin, and mythical love story. But while the original script and finished movie were pretty weird, it almost went to a very, very dark place. Instead of learning that his friend's wife was his superpowered soulmate, the original script had Hancock kidnap and try to force himself on her before slaughtering the horde of police officers who arrived to rescue her. Just to guarantee audiences left the theater with their jaws dropped, he would then try to kill himself with one of the cops' guns. The bullet didn't leave a mark, but it shocked the studio into totally changing the film's direction. So what do you think of our list? Did we miss any of your favorite twist endings or game-changing deleted scenes in hit movies? Be sure to share them in the comments, and if you haven't already, subscribe to Screen Rant for more videos like this one.
Thank you guys for watching. I don't know what I just did to my computer, but it froze. But thanks for watching. Bye.
Did it really freeze?
Yeah, like my screen is so laggy right now.